Well, it's a good point. I don't know about pork bellies, but it's a good point about the commodities. I mean, that assumes that they're willing to do that. You need some type of a method of exchange that everybody can agree to, so that global trade can be facilitated. If there's no agreement that global currencies are that you run into a panic, then they have to supplant those currencies with something. And it's into that breach and into that moment of despair from a global population whereby you would likely get a meeting of, I would guess, maybe the G20 at this point or something like that, and the proposal would be put out there that we've come together in this crisis, and out of this crisis, we've decided to form an alignment, basically. And they would align themselves. And they would align themselves behind a new, I would imagine, a new currency. And if we're all trading the same currency, then you're moving more towards the idea of a new order, a new world order of things. And I didn't say that to just scare everybody. And I know there's all the stuff out there, but likely some type of a new order, I would guess.
Well, that's what the elite themselves are calling it. Stay there. Damon Vickers is our guest. DamonVickers.com, fund manager, 9 Points Capital Partners, Chief Investment Officer. He's our guest for the rest of the hour. This is going to be some important information. Stay with us. DamonVickers.com. He's our guest, Chief Investment Officer with 9 Points Management and Research. This is a short segment, but in the long segment, we're going to be taking some phone calls, your questions or comments for Damon Vickers. The toll-free number to join us, 1-800-259-9231. Specifically questions for our guest on any investment issue. You can get his take on it. Okay, let's finish up with the New World Order, where you see the markets going, where you see gold going, how you see this crisis shaking out. I mean, I know you don't have a complete crystal ball. Nobody does, but your best dead reckoning on where we're going. But when you talk about New World Order, talk about global government, studying that, how do you see it forming? What do you see it making up? What do you see its policies being?
Well, I mean, that's a big one to cover. There's a kind of there's a trend, which is what we do. I mean, I'm a trend follower. So the trend for the markets last year were down. We want to make money from that. We really don't care which direction the market goes. The market wants to go higher, great. We want to be there. The market wants to go lower, great. We want to be there. Gold, I got really excited about gold when it broke through $1,000 an ounce. We had gotten long oil at the same time. Both assets are going up. We're making money in both of them, and we're doing really well with it today because as we speak, gold is hitting a new high and oil's up about $3 a barrel. When I saw that happening, and this was the same thing that was happening last year. When I saw the break last year in the financials, and there was a week last year where the banking index broke support. I sent out a release to all the media, and the title of that release was called "On the Eve of Destruction." The week that followed that, we had the worst week in market history. We went down like 20-some-odd% for the week. It was horrific for most, great for us, and we made money that week. When I saw gold break through $1,000, that kind of felt like a tell to me that this would also involve the currency. Which is the dollar, which we've also seen. So gold breaking through 1,000 really says that the dollar is likely to come under increasing pressure. The dollar coming increasing pressure means an accelerated loss of value and an accelerated rise in the price of gold. So we are basically short the dollar, I guess, by being long gold. We're basically short the dollar by being long oil. What investors can do is they can buy some gold. It's in a bull market. And in any bull market, you want to buy it on weakness. If your time horizon is long enough, it probably doesn't matter where you buy it. But it's one of the things that you can do to kind of protect yourself, because the loss of purchasing power for Americans may be really profound. What do we know about the dollar? We know that the dollar already, Alex, as I'm sure you know, the dollar has lost about 97% of its value since 1971. Since Nixon cut the cord to the dollar, it's lost 97%. And so, the government has done all these things to try to shore up the economy, right? We had the equity bubble in 2000, and then the burst, And then they go together, well, what can we do to keep this all going? And what do? They printed money. They deregulated the financial system. We had a separation between banks and brokerage firms, right? Because we learned lessons from the crash of 1929. But we dissolved that, and banks and brokerage firms got together. Banks could then make risky bets with your deposits, which is exactly what they did. And this was all to juice up the economy in 2002, 2003. So we juiced up the economy, and we created a second bubble, which was the real estate bubble. And you can blame the Wall Street, you can blame the investment bankers, the mortgage industry, Anthony Mazzillo. We were short countrywide last year. But you could also blame the participants, the general public. They got a little too euphoric. They got a little too excited about real estate and flipping houses and, all that kind of stuff.
They took the bait.
They took the bait. They sure did. They swallowed it, and it was very toxic. And now here we go again. Last year, we have a meltdown where like you can no longer, there are no more suckers left to buy those crazily priced, insanely priced houses. There's just nobody left. They've tapped into every fool on the street that give them a no money down type mortgage. And then we run into a crisis. There's no more sources of funding left. Last year was a crisis of funding. You could no longer find anybody to finance the economy, because that's what we were doing. We were selling these swaps on a global basis. We almost bankrupted Iceland, or virtually did bankrupt the country. And we look at Madoff and say he was a horrific guy, and the guy was no saint. He did some very evil things. But here, the United States, and here we as Americans, we have floated out this toxic garbage to the entire planet to finance our illusion of a lifestyle.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that on the other side. Quick break. We'll come back, finish up there, get into your forecast for the future, and take phone calls with our guest, Damon Vickers.
We're